What's up, it's your boy KC, how y'all doing? And it's time for another top 10. And this list is going to be of the movie franchises that should have ended after a certain number. That could be 2, 3, or even 4. So let's get this started. Number 10, Rocky. I always felt that Rocky 4 was the perfect ending to that whole story. There was no need for 5 because 5 was god-awful. 6 was a little better but not by much. And now they got Creed out there, which is a great movie, and that could have worked a couple of years back. But I always felt that 4 was the perfect ending because there's no other way to end it. Apollo dies, Rocky goes to Russia, destroys the guy who killed Apollo, and won over Russia. I mean, he went out in a blaze of glory. Number 9, Blood Rain. This movie should have ended after the first one because the first one was a piece of shit. What made them think that making a second and third one would be even better? I mean, those were straight to DVD movies. The first one, the only superstar power they had was Michelle Rodriguez because she had more talent than any one of those people acting in that movie. The main character that played Rain, she sucked. I'm sorry, but she was garbage. It felt like she was talking a script instead of acting. Her fighting scenes were so unrealistic. You look at the Blade series, they could have taken what they did in Blade and did it in this movie. Because I always like to think of them as counterparts anyways, pretty much the same backstory, but the Blood Rain series should have just ended after the first one, and it was an embarrassment. And speaking of Blade, number 8, Blade should have ended after number 2. There shouldn't have been a 3 because 3 was bland and boring, it had generic characters, the storyline was uninteresting, not to mention they put Triple H in the movie. Triple H, a wrestler that I couldn't stand since he first came out. So that dropped my interest even more. I just felt like they was trying to cash in on this series. Number 7, Child's Play. Now that's a series that should have been one movie and one movie only. Because what else could you possibly do? It's a story about a guy's soul getting trapped inside a body and he's trying to take over a little kid's body so that he can live again. That's it. At the end of the movie, Chucky's body gets destroyed. So what else could you possibly do? It should have ended after 1. Number 6, Ghostbusters Rage. Now, the first Ghostbusters movie was great. I loved everything about it. The second one was good, but not as good as the first one. They had years to make a third Ghostbusters movie. They had a long time to make a third one and they didn't do it. Now Harold Ramis is dead, one of the original guys of that group and one of the co-writers of the story. Why the fuck are you gonna wait all the way until now, after he's dead and gone, to make a third Ghostbusters movie? And a lot of people are getting bent out of shape. I don't care that they're all girls. I really don't care about that part. What I have a problem with is that nobody knows them. Nobody knows these Ghostbuster chicks. Seriously, it would have made more sense if you had a third one a couple of years ago maybe, where they said, the original Ghostbusters said, man, we getting too old for this. We're going to choose our successors. And you could have picked these girls then. That would have made more sense. It would have made it more easier for the fans to accept. But the fact that they just shoehorned this movie out there pisses me off because I'm like, I have no interest in seeing it. I have no connection to these people in this movie. And it's hokey and it's cheesy. It's not funny. It doesn't have the charm that the original Ghostbusters movies did. And it's just, for me, it just feels like it's way too late. It's too late. Number 5, The Terminator, one of my favorite action movie franchises ever made. But number 2 should have been the ending. That was the perfect ending to this whole story. You had the original Terminator come back, and instead of trying to kill Sarah Connor like he tried to do in the first one, he becomes friends with her and her son John Connor. They succeed in putting an end to Cyberdyne, which created the machines that gave John Connor the apocalyptic future that he was going to struggle through. They destroyed the T-1000 and the Terminator himself melted in a molten steel. They got rid of any trace of Cyberdyne ever existing, and that should have been it. So why did they feel a need to make a third one? Why did they feel the need to make the story even more convoluted and confusing by bringing the Terminator back? It just feels like it's just like a money grab to me. That's what I think of when they come out with these movies. They just want the money and that's it. They don't care how they fuck up the story as long as they get paid. Number 4, the Rambo series. What can I say about this series? These movies were the genesis behind the Metal Gear Solid games. Not only that, out of all the movies that I've ever watched in my entire life, my all-time favorite movie is Rambo First Blood Part 2. I love that movie to death. I can watch it over and over again. When Rambo's out there in the jungle and he's picking off dudes with the bow and arrow and the explosive arrows and shit, it was fucking awesome. However, I can admit that the third one was the weakest of the bunch, but it was still good. With that being said, number 3 should have been the ending to this franchise. There was no need for number 4. Number 3, The Karate Kid. How the Mighty Have Fallen. Number 1 and 2 were great movies. Number 3 was utter shit. The next Karate Kid was unnecessary and nobody asked for it. And the reboot was the worst of the bunch because of Jaden Smith. He is one of the worst actors I have ever seen in my entire life. Ben Affleck still has the championship for that, but this kid is the runner-up. He's the number 1 contender. That's how bad he is. But that's a list for another day. Seeing how Karate Kid is now, it's embarrassing to see how great it was compared to how it is now. And it's a damn shame. Number 2, Superman. Now this is one of those special cases, and I hope I'm not the only person that feels this way. But I feel the role of Superman, as far as movies go, was made for Christopher Reeves because he was that good and he set the bar that high that every other guy that would play Superman was just not as good as he was. And the Superman movies that came out after his were consistently bad, one after another after another. However, Superman 4 was shit. There shouldn't have been a Superman 4. It should have stopped after 3. Richard Pryor was great in that movie. I loved it. But that's where it should have ended. That was the perfect ending. Honorable mentions, the Batman series. And for those smartasses, I'm going to tell you this. Voice acting is still acting. It's still a form of acting, so shut the hell up. And even though Kevin Conroy will always be my favorite Batman, period, I'm going to talk about the movies only. As far as movie roles go, I felt that even though he wasn't the original Batman, those roles were made for Michael Keaton. For the same reasons that I stated for Superman. Every other Batman movie that came out after he played Batman got worse and worse and worse. And I felt that as far as Bruce Wayne and Batman goes, he did the best job at playing both of them than any of the other actors that came after him. Val Kilmer, sure as hell better than George Clooney. Christian Bale was a great Bruce Wayne, but not a good Batman. And Ben Affleck doesn't count. We will never mention that guy ever again. Number 1, Spider-Man. Spider-Man 3 ruined the whole series. That was an example of too much too soon. There was too many villains in the movie, and that movie was way too damn long. By the time I got to the 3rd hour, it felt like that movie sucked the life out of the audience and the franchise itself. And because of that, Tobey Maguire's career was halted in a really bad way. And that's my list. You can check out my other content on my channel, KC the Most, where I have other top 10s, topic videos, and my podcast episodes. I also have a Twitter page at MostKC where you can let me know what you think about my videos. I also have a Facebook page, KC the Most, the same name. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll check you out later. Peace.